Okay, Algebra 1 fans, our topic for today, this is Notes 3-1, Coordinate Plane, Graph Relations. So, our goals for today, after the lesson, we should be able to state the quadrants and axes on the coordinate plane, plot points on the coordinate plane, and name points on the plane, and use values for x and y to graph relations. Now, some of this is probably a review, but there may be some new concepts as well. Before we begin, let me give you your joke of the day. What do you call a totally unimportant elephant? And the answer is an irrelevant. Irrelevant? Whew, that was actually hard to say. Okay, so we're going to talk first about some vocabulary for the coordinate plane. Directions, and label the x-axis, y-axis, origin, and 4 quadrants. The word axis basically means line. So when we look at the coordinate plane, which we see right here, so we see two lines. The one that is left to right, that's horizontal, is called the x-axis. Okay, we sometimes call it the horizontal axis because it goes like this, left to right. The line that goes up and down is called the vertical axis or the y-axis. Vertical means up and down, like that. Now, where the two lines meet, where they intersect, right here, is called the origin. Origin is the beginning. So this is where we start from. And what happens too, the lines, when the x-axis and the y-axis cross, they create 4 different regions, 4 different sections, or what we would call quadrants, because they're kind of like quarters. So we would say this is quadrant. Quad means 4. Quadrant 1. So the top right quadrant is the first. Now we actually, clockwise goes this way when you're reading a clock. We label these counterclockwise. So we actually go over this way, and I'm going to write it as quad 2. And then down here is quadrant, quad 3. And down the bottom right is quadrant 4. You'll notice that I write the quadrants using Roman numerals. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think why we do that is we don't want to confuse the quadrant names, with the actual numbers on the line. Now, the other thing that we want to understand is that, okay, the origin is the beginning. We label that 0, 0. Now, every time, this is kind of like a map. And so what's really important is that when everybody looks at the same map, they understand how to move to get to a location. So what we've done is we have defined each position on the map with 2 numbers. The first number is always the x, and the second number is the y. This is the x coordinate and the y coordinate. It's the x value and the y value, but we say it's the coordinates, and we call this an ordered pair. Because there's an order. The order is always the x value first and then the y value. So again, it's important that we all travel the same way. So if we are in the first quadrant, we always move in the x direction first, and then we move in the y direction. So the x direction, if you go to the left, notice the numbers are negative. If you go to the right, they're positive. So left is negative, right is positive. In the y direction, which is up and down, notice that going down is negative and going up is positive. So if we are in the first quadrant, then we have to move right and up. And both of those, that would be positive in the x direction, and it would be positive in the y direction. So for example, I'll put it in red. This point right here is 3, 2. X, y. Anything in the first quadrant will always be positive, positive. The x coordinate is positive, the y coordinate is positive. Here's an example. Now, if we are in the second quadrant, let's say that we are here. To move, we start at 0, 0. We move in the x direction first. We would go left, 4. And then we would go up 1. Now, left is negative, so it's -4, comma, and then up 1 is positive. Anything in the second quadrant, since we go left and up, is going to be a negative value for x and a positive coordinate for y. Negative and positive. Now, I say ordered pair, I say x coordinate, y coordinate. A lot of times we just talk about points. These are points. Well, a point always has an x value and a y value. In the third quadrant, if I am, let's say here, from 0, 0, we would go left first. X is always first. Then we would go down. So left 5 is down is -5, so that's -5, comma. Down 2 is negative as well, so it's -5, -2. In the third quadrant, it's always negative, negative. Both of your coordinates are going to be negative values. And then in the fourth quadrant, let's say we are here. We would start from 0, 0. We always start at the origin. We would go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, which is positive, and then down 1, 2, 3. Down is negative, so 4, comma, -3. In the fourth quadrant, it's always right and down. So the x coordinate is always positive to the right, and the y coordinate is always negative because it's down. The other thing about when I count, so if I start at 0, 0, and let's say I'm counting to this point, my first move, that's 1. I don't count my starting position as 1. So how many spaces do I move? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when I go down, this is not 1. It's my first move. 1, 2, 3, -3. Okay, so let's do example number 1. Graph the following ordered pairs on the coordinate plane. Label the points using the letters. Okay, so for example, 2, 5, that's point A. We're going to call that A. So it's always x and then y. X is 2, so we start at 0, 0. We go positive 2, that's to the right. And then the y value is 5, positive 5, so right 2. Positive 5 is up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my point. Now I'm going to write the letter next to the point. There's point A. What I would like you to do is to pause the video, go ahead and label the other points, and then press play on the video and see if you agree with me. Okay, so point B, -3, 2. That means we go left, because that's -3. Positive 2 is up. So there's B. Okay, C is 0, 0. Well, that's easy, because that's the origin right there. D is 1, 4. X is 1, Y is 4. So from here, we go right 1, because it's positive. Up 4, because it's positive. And that puts us here. That's called D. E is -3, -1. So X is -3. So that means we go left 1, 2, 3. See, -3. The Y is -1, which is down 1. So left 3, down 1. There's point E. F is 0, 2. Now you got to be careful. X is 0, Y is 2. So that means we don't move left or right, because the x direction is 0, the x coordinate. So we do move positive 2 in the y direction. Well, that means we go up. So that puts us on the y-axis. We are not in a quadrant, 1 or 2. We are on the y-axis. -5, 0. The x is -5, so we go left 5. But the y value is 0. That means we don't move up or down, so the point is there. And we would say that that point is on the x-axis. That is on the x. The last one, 3, -5. X is positive 3. That's right 3. Y is -5. Y is -5, so that's down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and there's h right there. And what I've seen some students do actually is they'll draw, here's 3, here's -5, and they'll kind of match it. And you see where they match is right there. When we did point D, 1, 4, so we were right 1, and then we were up 4. So where do those match? Boom, right there. All right, let's flip it over. And we'll take problem 2 here. Now this time they give us, here's the coordinate plane, and they give us points. Write the ordered pairs, that's x, y, for the points on the coordinate plane. Also, write the quadrant or axis that the point lies in or on. So we need to find point A. A is here. Now when we count, we always start at 0, 0. So we would go x direction first. We would go left 2, and then we would go down 4. Left is negative, down is also negative. So it's -2, -4. We put this in parentheses. That's the clue that you're looking at ordered pairs. Now the quadrant, I'll label, here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Point A is in the third quadrant. So I'll just put Roman numeral 3. Again, pause the video, you do this, and then check back with me and see if you agree. Okay, point B is right 4, that's positive, up 2, which is also positive, so 4, 2, and that is in quadrant 1. Point C, we'll find that, that's here. The x coordinate is left, 1, 2, 3, that's -4. X coordinate's -4, and then from here we go up 4, which is positive. That's in the second quadrant, so 2, Roman numeral 2. Point D is here. Now from 0, 0, we don't move left or right, so the x coordinate is 0. But we do go down 3. When we go down, it's negative, so it's 0, -3. Now this is not in a quadrant, it is on this line, which is called the y-axis. Point E is here. So the x is +3. Now the y value, notice we almost run off the graph here. Here's -5, but we went down one more. That would actually be -6. So it's right 3, +3. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that is in the fourth quadrant. And then the last point F is 0, 0. That's the origin, and we'll call it the origin. And that is the end of part 1.